guys? Welcome back to another episode of Between the Walls podcast. I am one of your hosts. My name is Jess.
And I'm Jonathan, and we are the Wallaces.
Yes. We wanted to apologize. We've been a little on and off our schedule the past couple of weeks. Yeah.
Even though this one will come after we're already back on.
Yeah. So this apology is actually going to be late.
A week late.
Yeah. By the time you see this, we'll actually be in California for our friend's wedding. So
Yeah. Super excited about that.
June has been an exciting month. I just came back from my first brand trip ever to Disney, and it was amazing. God has just been good. He's really been good. He's been providing. And now I have this really cool box that I'm looking at on the table, which is like another blessing, because not me on Fenty's PR list.
Oh, yeah. She got the Fenty hair.
Not Rihanna's team. Rihanna probably doesn't know who I am, but somebody on her team does, and that's all I can ask for.
Rihanna knows you.
Just one step closer.
Rihanna knows you.
Anyways, so you guys, let's just get into it. We're talking about sex. You knew it was coming.
Let's talk about sex, baby.
Oh, man, I was hoping you'd do that.
You.
Every single podcast that talks about sex, somebody always sings that song in the beginning.
Dang it.
They always do.
I don't listen to... I think our dynamic
yeah.
is good because I don't really listen to relationship podcasts, but Jess listens to a lot of them.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure
we have reference, but
yeah.
I don't know what anyone else is doing.
If you heard them sing that song when they're about to say, we're going to talk about sex, please leave it in the comments. Because every single one that I've listened to, they always sing that song. It's usually
maybe
the girl.
Maybe I should just sing I ain't too proud to beg.
No.
Just like, what are sex songs?
No. We don't need to sing any sex songs.
Neighbors know my name.
Ew, oh my gosh.
Knock.
I wonder if we lived in a townhouse when we sang that song, or if it's really just separate homes. They've still heard. That's crazy.
That song is so goofy. I wonder if anyone actually has sex too.
I don't care.
No.
The beat is nice though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm glad we're married and we could talk about stuff like nonsense like this.
I was going to say something, but maybe it's too far. I just want to say Jonathan has a playlist and I have a playlist, and they're both so different.
Jess's playlist is all that 90s, early
2000s.
Just the slow boom, boom.
That is this, bruh.
Boom, boom.
Music used to be so much sexier back then when people were
It
really
all
in love and
like
making love. Yes, because that's when they were making love back then. Now they're just clapping cheeks. The sex music today.
No,
I'm sorry, this is a little off topic, but the music that people make love to today, that's not making love. That's it's not sexy. So he'll put on the song and I'm like, bro, this beat is not. I'm not vibing to this.
Stop screaming.
Sorry. Is that my levels right there? The one
Yeah,
on the bottom?
you're screaming.
Oh my God, I'm passionate about sex.
And just making it sound like I'm playing nasty music. My music is just less over the head, sexy.
Yeah, it's not sexy.
There are people trying to be sexy. I don't know.
No.
I'll do Stevie. I'll put some Stevie Wonder on, and she's like, "Ew, why you put this on here?" And I'm like, "No, this
y'all getting sexy to Stevie Wonder, bruh? No, that's a first dance song at our wedding. It's not
No, sometimes you can like a ribbon in the sky. No, that's romantic. No, all right, whatever.
My husband's 80. Anyways,
it's funny because they're gonna come make fun of you. They're not gonna make fun of me.
I'm about tired of y'all always picking up for Jonathan. I'm over it.
It's all right because in real life, everyone picks up for Jess and no one.
It's the Jonathan fan club in the comments, but that's okay because I love that you guys see why I love my husband because he's great. Y'all sound thirsty sometimes though, but it's okay.
I'm taking that out.
No, leave it in.
I'm taking it out.
Nah, they be on you. He's so okay. I know. Relax.
It's not gonna go over well for you. You don't sound good right now. So I'm gonna take it out.
Nah, leave it in. Anyway,
so we're gonna talk about sex, but more so just sex within the context of dating leading up to sex. And we asked on the Instagram what people would want to hear about, and a lot of people wanted to hear about sex, but a lot of people wanted to hear about dating too, and how to approach dating. So we thought that should be a good thing to hop into.
Also, if you're not following us on Instagram, go ahead and follow us at Between the Walls Pod.
Yeah, we're on Instagram, we're on TikTok, we're on
That's it.
everything.
Yeah.
YouTube Shorts.
YouTube. Well,
Facebook, if you do that kind of thing.
We're on Facebook?
Yeah, we are.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I give them the dust, though.
Oh, what do you mean?
It's I won't even edit the captions for real. You should get dust.
That's fine. All right, let's get into it. You go ahead, babe.
Yeah, so we were listening to a sermon by Matt Chandler It's one of my
Very
favorite.
good. It's
One of
so
my
good.
yeah, one of my favorite pastors to listen to. The Village Church in Texas, and they were doing a marriage series. And one of the things that they were talking about was they were talking about sex and intimacy, and they talked about the three Hebrew words used for love, especially talking in Songs of Solomon or Song of Songs, and going through that, which was really interesting for me because I had only ever heard like the Greek words, which is like the phileo, the agape. So, but I didn't really realize there were Hebrew words as well because they were speaking Hebrew, especially around the Old Testament time. So they talked about they called them the three flames, that you need all these different steps. You need all these different of the three flames for a good relationship that would lead into especially a marriage. And that if you're lacking any of these three things, then you are missing something out that's key to a healthy relationship or a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
So the first one is called Raya, and Raya is about that friendship, like
Yeah.
the soul, like a soulmate, kind of like we're kindred spirits, like you're my friend. That friendship part of it, which is very key to any marriage, as like me and Jess can attest, because we were like friends before anything else. And there's something called ahava, which is that deep. Well, you start to get into that deep romance. So not necessarily not sexual romance, but it's the I see you're crazy and I still choose you. Like I see your faults and I still choose you. So it's that deep romance, that feeling, but it's also deeper than that in that choice as well. Like I continue to choose you even sometimes when I see you're a little crazy. And then there's a verse that describes that ahava, and I found it. It was just so beautiful. It says, "Place me like a seal over your heart, like a seal on your arm. For your love is as strong as death, its passion as enduring as the grave. Love flashes like fire of the brightest kind of flame. Many waters cannot quench love, nor rivers can drown it. If a man tried to buy love with all his wealth, his offer would be utterly scorned." So it's just like this beautiful, deep kind of like its love is more powerful than the grave. That's ahava.
Yeah.
And the last love, which is the sexy kind of romancy kind
Stevie
of
Wonder
the
love.
Stevie Wonder, what I think Stevie's Wonder, or it's more like the D'Angelo. How does it feel? Kind of love, the sexual romance is called dode. So that these three compartments, these three flames all together make up a beautiful relationship.
Yeah.
And on the flip side of that, this is where it comes into real life when it comes to dating, is that if you go through these flames out of order, that's how a lot of people end up messing up their relationship before it even has a chance to flourish.
Yeah, I used to always think before we listened to that sermon and like kind of had our little discussion about it afterwards that we did it in the right order because, like Jonathan said, we were strictly friends for like maybe first 5 years before anything happened. But we went from Raya,
Like a deep
friendship, just friendship. We could talk about anything. Never touched, never kissed, never talked about. Never even had dating in my mind, but we went from friendship to like dode.
Yeah.
And it happened so fast. Like we missed the middle part, but I never even thought of that. I was like, oh, we were friends first before we ever even kissed or held hands or anything. But like, yeah, we went from being friends, strictly friends, 5 years to one day we had a conversation like, oh, maybe this could work. And then we kissing and touching like the next day. Like it was
Yeah, no,
way too quick.
Yeah, we skipped steps like crazy. And it's just so funny because you can think, yeah, I'm going in the order and really not be in the order at all. And it just kind of goes to that when you move out of the correct order from like that raya, that deep friendship, to the ahava, which is that deeper like, oh, I see you, you see me, I love you, you love me, and I'm choosing to love you even though I see you're crazy. And then when you cross that marriage threshold into the dode, unless you do it in that order, like things go haywire. And I feel like one of the big reasons for that is that the later two stages are easier than like the further the stages will go along, the easier it is. Like the less you have to try. So like for example, dode, like sex. once you start having sex, like if you say you do that in the beginning of a relationship, that part is easy because sex just feels so natural. It feels so freeing.
Yeah.
That's why like all these people will be like, just have sex, just open your body because it feels so good.
Yeah.
And once you're in that frame of mind, once you're in that mode, it covers up a bunch of other stuff. And it can give you the idea and it can give you the feeling like you have a deeper friendship or that
Right,
you
yeah.
are really in a deeper form of love without actually being in that form of love.
Yeah. Because a lot of people, well, you know, I hate generalizing
Just
things.
in my experience,
Well, it's not
from
really.
what I've seen.
From what I've seen, I do like that. From what I've seen, when people like they go like straight into having sex and all that stuff, like they don't really have too much to talk about or like even really know much about each other because it's just like, oh, when we get together, we're just having sex and then, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like you can do your little pillow talk, but like you miss intimately getting to know someone. And obviously it's not true for everyone, but from what I've seen or heard, that it's very easy to fall into thinking you intimately know someone and like know the ins and outs of someone just because you started off with having sex and then had like lighter conversation after. It can feel like way more than what it is. But then
Yeah.
you've missed so many of the like the intimate, important things that you need to have like a flourishing relationship.
Yeah, I think friendship, and especially romance before marriage, you know, that,
What do you mean by romance before marriage?
you know, romance without the sex,
Yeah, what
you
is
know,
that?
like the
For the people.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, that's good. Me really getting to know you, you really getting to know me, asking those hard questions, having those tough conversations, talking about families and traumas of old and all that stuff, without the sex to kind of make everything seem smoother. Like that stuff is hard.
Yeah.
Like it's not as easy as, you know, just doing whatever I want to. It's much easier to kiss and kiss and fondle Jess.
Wow, I hate that.
Fondle. No, yeah, that's terrible. It's way easier to be intimate with Jess than it is to talk about my deepest insecurities.
Right, yeah.
To talk about the things that make me, the things that make me feel ugly. That's a lot harder. And when you have sex in the picture before you have those conversations, it's easier to not have those conversations at all. And then they start to pop up over time before you really realize what you committed to, before you really realize what you gave yourself into.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And something that Jonathan and I were talking about, how we noticed that we skipped the middle stage. And that's why the first like year of our actual dating relationship felt so, well, that's not the whole reason, but we felt like we didn't get that middle part of our dating relationship. Wait, what am I saying? We didn't get that middle part of the Raya, the Ahava, and the Dode, like the intimate, what is it? Help me.
We didn't get that second stage, like the second
The
stage.
second stage of our relationship, which is so important. It's
Getting
like
to know
the
you,
meat
really
of
getting-
the cheeseburger until Jonathan came back from Atlanta. And if you don't know our story, go watch it. But that was literally, we had like 4 months of that. And then we was like, okay, now I'm ready. That's what I was missing. Now I'm ready to propose. Because the first like year and change of our dating, it was shaky. I'm like, this doesn't make sense. I'm like, we've been friends. We know each other so well. You know, we got the kissing down. I'm like, what's missing? But we just really skipped over that part until we did get it for a few months. Then it was like, all right, I feel like now we can get married. That's what was missing. So it really just completed what we needed. Okay, rhyming, to like move forward.
Yeah, and it's just so important to have those, you know, deeper conversations. It's so important to be real with one another that, you know, I love you and now I'm seeing all the parts of you and I see that like, oh, this is not a perfect person anymore. Once you get to that place, because I feel like a lot of people can get into like the lovey feelies but never really see past that, like, oh, this person is imperfect.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing the imperfections, but I'm still wanting that person. And I think sex does it. You know what sex does? Sex is like it's like a smooth over effect, right? Which is excellent in marriage. And like a lot of times, you know, when there's strife between us, sex can help like bridge that gap and help knit us together.
Yeah.
But when you have that knitting together before you really know all the things that you're signing up for and you know everything, it can lead to confusion
Yeah.
more than leading to clarity.
Yeah.
I feel like now when we're married, sometimes when we're going through things, when we have sex, it brings clarity. Like, oh, this is my wife. This is who I'm joined to. And it reminds me of all the things that connect us before, and it brings clarity. But before you do sexual things and it leads to confusion more than it leading to clarity. And I think I'm realizing through this conversation now more than ever that one of the reasons that it didn't work and one of the reasons I was so confused was because we added sexual things before it was time. And that just led to confusion. You know, you're feeling things and it's like, this feels good, but there's like something missing. And it's like, wasn't able to find that thing that was missing, that thing that we needed to really truly join us together. So it's like, if you have two of the flames without the third, then it just don't work.
Right. So then what, I don't know if we're here yet, but
Go
like
ahead.
for the people who they've already went out of order the way we did, we went out of order. Like, what is the solution? Like, how do we get around that? Like, it's not too late. It's not like, oh, you went out of order, you're doomed. But like, what next? What now?
Well, before I answer that question, I feel like I want to talk about the question in general and why that's such a question for so many people, because I feel like the church, like the Big C, like as a whole, not anyone's local individual church, didn't do a fantastic job of talking about like sex.
I agree.
And talking about why not to do it. You know, it's just like, God said so, don't have sex. God said so, no one's gonna love you. Like, no one's gonna love you if you have sex with this much person. Yeah, the damaged goods. Like, if you have this person and then you gave that rose to that person and then to that person and then that person, then who's gonna want that thing? And like, I feel like the church as a whole, you just did so much that like it worked more negatively than positively, because we as humans, we make mistakes. And I agree that we should not be having sex before its proper time, but without the proper explanation, you get shamed into doing it, and then the shame keeps you in it, because like, well, I already did it, might as well keep going. You know, you feel like your virginity, like your rose or whatever, is this perfect thing. It's like, once it's gone, no one already. I'm not worthy already. And I feel like that's just so backwards from what the gospel is. Yeah, that's just so backwards from like the way that God works. And it's like, who would want that rose? God wants the rose.
Talk about it, babe.
Like, you're like, who would want me? Like, I'm damaged goods. I gave myself to this person, or I gave myself to that person before it was time, and we didn't work out. And now he owns that part of me, or she owns that part of me. But guess who? Like, God still wants you. Like, that's the whole idea. Yeah. So I think the way this works, you know, the way you get through is just through realizing that you're still the one that God wants. That your purity, you know, we got in like this purity culture. Yeah. You know, it's like, my purity ring, and if anybody ever, your purity is something to protect. But if something happens and you make the mistake, God still loves you. Yeah. God still wants you. Like, he still chooses you. He still looks at you as one of his own. So I think like that's something I wanted to clear up first, if that makes sense.
You know, while you were talking about this, it made me think of like, say we have a daughter in the future, and it's like, I always think about like, what if my daughter asked me to get on birth control? And it's like, well, I don't want you having sex, but I need to, should I still prepare you for the tools in case you do it anyways? Like, I feel like with the church that I grew up in, and I always preface this by saying I absolutely love my home church to death. That's my family. But I really don't feel like they prepared me amazingly for what happens if you do. Because it was just like, don't have sex, and that's it. We're not talking about it anymore. Yeah, like, we're not talking anymore. Like, just don't have sex. But so I think about like, if my daughter wants to act like, oh yeah, I want birth control. I was like, if I'm giving you the option to protect yourself, or like, this is what happens, am I saying like, okay, here you go? Not that I want to get into that conversation, but I feel like in their head, they're like, I don't want to give you the tools on what you know, how to like fix it if you do, because I want you to just not even do it.
Well, I think more than how to fix it if you do, I feel like the conversation should be like, why not? Like, why not? Why you should protect yourself.
Yeah.
I think we spend so much time on the anti, like the don't do this. Like your goal is to avoid sex, but avoiding sex isn't the goal. Seeking marriage through God's timing and plan is the goal.
Yeah.
And I think for me, growing up, my goal that I was ended up being unsuccessful in was don't
Same.
have sex. And any goal, I think that's an anti-goal. Like, I don't want to be like my parents, or like say that's one of them. Or like, I don't want to have sex. I don't want to sin. Like, that's not a goal. Anytime you have a anti-goal, you'll end up doing the thing that you don't want to do because you're not going towards anything. You're just trying not to go towards something else.
Yeah.
So I think the conversation around sex should be different. Rather than don't do it, it's like when they said don't do it, it's kind of like they framed it as like it's a bad, like sex is a bad thing.
Right. Yeah.
Like
yeah.
it's a nasty.
Yeah, like, don't.
It's like
Don't.
ew.
No, it's sex. No.
No,
right?
no.
We can't even talk about that in church.
Yeah,
Like,
like it's a nasty thing. Rather than because
forbidden.
like if you read Song of Songs, like it talks about like sex. Like it's
You talking about breasts and all? I'm
talking
like,
about
watch
breast
out.
and talking about I arouse you under the tree that your mom gave birth to. Like crazy stuff.
Hey, Solomon.
Yeah, no, like freaky ass.
Singing them songs for real.
You're 69, God.
Oh Lord.
But
Stop that.
okay, I'm sorry. I lost my train of thought. But yeah, it talks about sex as a beautiful thing. And I think sex is a very beautiful thing. But it's a beautiful thing in the container which God invented it for.
Yeah.
So I think when we talk about it in that context, like no, sex is good. It's something that God created. So God wouldn't have created it if it wasn't supposed to be good. And like there are parts on your body only for pleasure. Like not for procreation. There are parts for pleasure.
Right.
Right? So God loves sex. But since it's so special, it's not something that's designed for you to have with everybody.
Yeah.
It's special. That's the flipping of it. Instead of the don't have sex till married because
yeah, I like that because
Right.
just because like because the Bible says so, or because like it's in the 10 Commandments. Just like yes, of course, yes. But like there's so many other reasons. Like we didn't talk about the physical aspects or the emotional, which is huge aspect or whatever. But I also wish like hearing you say like, oh, sex is so beautiful. Like I feel like if I heard when I was younger, I feel like we're getting a tiny bit off topic, but it's okay. How like beautiful it is and like how special it's supposed to be and like all that. I wouldn't just feel like, my ninth grade boyfriend, like cool. Like I would have been like, wait, it's supposed to be special and like it's like I would have liked to look at it more of like Disney princess vibes, like, oh, I have to hold this. Like it's too special to blah blah blah. But it's like I just don't because whatever. It's like well, it's not that special. Like whatever, I don't care.
Yeah, and then it makes it like a taboo. Like God frowns upon sex in general, but it's like He's not frowning upon it. It's a beautiful thing. It's just not a beautiful thing for everybody.
Right.
It's a beautiful thing for the person that becomes your friend, and this person's so deep of a friend. It's like I want to be with that person no matter what, through thick and thin, in good times and in bad. That like I've seen all their ugly, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. You know, like I'm gonna argue. Like I see myself, I argue with this person, but it's okay if I have to argue with someone else for the rest of my life. I want it to be that person that I'm arguing with for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And that as we cross that barrier into marriage, now I get to give myself fully to this person. Yeah. So it's like that's the beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. Yeah. But I feel like we cheapen sex so much, like in terms of like, don't do it. You can get diseases. You can have babies. Pregnant, yeah. You can get pregnant. You know, it's like it just like dampens it so much, and it's like more likely to do it because it's like.
Oh, you know what it sounds like? It also sounds like what you were just saying about like, oh, don't do it because all these bad things, but it kind of sounds like, oh, I don't want to grow up and be like my parents, but it's not giving to like the goal of what it should be.
Yeah, it's like
just
an
giving
anti-goal.
Yeah, you're saying don't have sex because of the anti stuff. And then you just end up doing it anyways, end up with all the anti stuff. But it didn't make me want to go towards the goal of how beautiful it is. It made me just be like, oh, don't have sex because you can get pregnant. I'm like, well, I tried it and I didn't get pregnant. So let me see how far I can go. But I'm still not pregnant. All right. But sorry. I just gotta laugh at my pain sometimes. Okay. But anyways, what were we saying?
Yeah, but do you hear my voice crack nasty? But I feel like it's, I don't know. We kind of talked about like why it's just so hard. It's just so hard. Like if you introduce that to your like relationship before, before you cross that threshold, because it's very hard to backtrack.
It is hard to backtrack. And then all of a sudden, you think, oh, I can put up with that person's crazy or put up with that person's ugly. But sometimes if you have sex before you even get to the whole crazy, ugly thing, you think you're putting up with it, but you're just putting up with the fact that you enjoy the sex with that person. And like, it's the smooth over effect that you were talking about.
It's that smooth over.
Yeah.
It's like an Instagram filter.
Yeah, a lot of times after you have sex, you just put up with anything because it's like, but I like the way he makes me feel. Yeah.
It's an IG filter.
Yeah. And when that filter comes off, because the IG filter will come off when you move around too much and you start seeing it's ugly for real, sex ain't even all that cool, or we're not doing it, and like, I'm tired. Then everything else seems so ugly, and you're like, I hate this. I hate this. I hate this. I hate this.
I think that's why a lot of relationships crash and burn. Not because the people aren't good for each other or aren't, or wouldn't work together in a vacuum. I just think it's because it's out of the order. It's hard to build those other parts of the relationship.
Yeah.
Like it's hard to form that connection afterwards because everything's messed up and it adds just confusion. Moving out of God's timing always has consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And like we in our relationship, before God made a way in it, we were living in the consequences.
I sure was. I was like, dang, this is not what I prayed for, dog. I'm like, something ain't right.
I feel like every time you move, because God's order is the natural way of things, right? Like the way things were designed to function. Mm-hmm. Whenever you move out of the way things were designed to function, it can get shaky.
Yeah, for sure. So we didn't do it in the correct order, and we made it out alive and well, I would say, because we did backtrack and we went back into the middle phase, which is the ahava, which is the intimate part without sex.
Yeah, it's like I see you, you see me, I see you're crazy, and I still want you. I still choose you.
Even though I still feel like ours is difficult, because I still feel like we did go through that, but since we did it out of order, it just felt weird.
Not really, because it's like, that's like, I want to marry you. Once you're in, that's the stage
you were seeing my crazy, but you didn't want to marry me.
Well, I didn't know what I wanted anymore. I didn't know what the sex stuff that came in, and I didn't know what I wanted.
He was like, "Dang."
Oh Lord, I was just confused. That's really what it was. It was just confusion.
Yes, because sex causes confusion.
It causes
sex before marriage out of the context of marriage. 100% causes confusion. I don't care what anybody says, and I also don't care if we're already engaged and like, oh, I know I'm going to marry him. It causes confusion, no matter what.
A certain kind of confusion. It always it just causes disorder. I think that's the best way. Yeah. That can manifest in confusion. That can manifest in however else.
Yes,
but
yes, for anyone who's watching who's already like gone out of the order and wants to figure out how can I fix this or what do I do next or whatever, because like we made it work, we fixed it. What is your suggestion, or like what do you like? What would you tell somebody?
You said we fixed it.
God fixed it.
Yeah, I know. No, but I don't.
Is that where you're going?
Yeah, but I don't mean to be that way about it.
No, but I feel you though.
We spent time apart. Like we spent time apart because it was obvious to you and to me, but that our relationship was not going to work.
Yeah.
If we kept going the way that we were going.
That we were going. Yeah.
It just wasn't going to happen. And I think that taking a step back a lot of times can be what's necessary for you to take a step forward. Like taking that step back for us was what we needed to have God come in and do some repairs.
Yeah.
And we weren't taking that step back for God to do the repairs, but we just knew it wasn't working. And I think God is just the mender of all broken things. It's like sick people need a doctor. Like our relationship was sick. Mm-hmm. It was like sick. in like the way that it's like ill, but it was like sick also in like this is sick.
Stinks.
Yeah. It's a sick situation. But God is the great physician, and he was like what mended us back together. That he repaired those parts. He repaired the disorder and put us broke us back into order.
Yeah.
And I think that looks different for everybody, but kind of along the lines of what we were saying before is that if it doesn't feel right, that's a great indication that it is not right.
Yeah. Yep. Oh, me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
I'm
like, yes, you talk.
I felt
That's how conversations work.
Yeah. But one thing I do want to say is I don't believe that you always have to fix your relationship issues or anything like that with a breakup. So I don't want people to always feel like that is what we're saying. Always like, oh, something's not right, we got to break up. Because I do believe you should also be able to learn how to fight through or fix things without walking away in certain things. But it's not necessarily like giving up or walking away when things get tough. But I definitely think.
Sorry.
No, I felt
my brain
no,
started kicking in.
go ahead.
Wait, no, keep going. You're still talking.
Okay. No, just go ahead. Maybe I can build more off of what you're about to say.
Okay. I think the first, going not in the breaking up vein, but the first thing that you can do everything in your power to stop having sex.
Yeah, it's good.
Like if you're not married, do everything in your power to stop yourself from continuing along in that pathway, because the less you are going out of the like proper timing, the more clarity you will continue to get. Mm-hmm. And I think that for us, we had to do a lot of things that a lot of other people would seem is crazy. Mm-hmm. You know, that we made a lot of guardrails, and we weren't always successful, but I think God, especially in our marriage now, has honored our effort. Do everything you can to link up with other couples that want to help you and provide accountability for you.
Yeah.
That's very, 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 very important. Getting some accountability. Mm-hmm. It's also very important to know your triggers. Mm-hmm. If you guys know that you're only having sex when you meet up late at night, maybe you don't meet up late at night. For us, like one of the things that we did was Jess had her own house, and I was living with my parents. I just wouldn't go to her house unless someone else was going.
Yeah,
and I'm not
tough.
and I'm not saying anything like that is easy.
It was not easy.
It's very much so not easy.
It was difficult. It was irritating. I'm just being honest. It was irritating. It was kind of annoying because I'm like, especially being like the girl in the relationship, I'm like, I always have to go over there. And then I'm the one who always has to drive home. And I'm like, I hate this. But his house was more of a place of safety. His brother was in the room. His parents were there. And even for the most part, when I was going to his house, we would still stay downstairs. Yeah. It's just there's accountability there. And we just do a lot of things with other people.
Doing a lot of things with other people, knowing your triggers for real. Because one thing that we could do to fool ourselves is say that, okay, if I'm in this situation, you know, I know 9 times out of 10 I could be successful, but I do know there is that one time that
10th time gonna come.
That one time that I will fail. 10%, knowing that like 10% isn't good enough. Mm-hmm. Our goal is 0%. Like especially once we had the clarity of through not having sex to know that I want to marry this person. Mm-hmm. And when you see that goal in mind, mm-hmm. you now know that this is something special I want to have with this person. That's the goal I'm pressing on towards.
Yeah.
And that's just one of the beauties that, like, when you don't have the smooth over effect, you could be like, this is what I'm pressing for. This is the goal that I have in mind. Mm-hmm. Because any relationship that does not have a goal, any relationship that's aimless, is not a relationship you want to be in.
Yeah, I don't mean to cut you off, but I think that was something that was kind of hard for me because I knew when we first started dating, I'm like, I have no idea when we're going to get married, because every time I kind of like give Jonathan like little like pockets of things, and I could feel his vibes. And I'm like, he is not ready to get married. And then even like when I finally asked him like, what are we doing? And he's like, I don't know. Like that's when we broke up. But not knowing that there was any timeline, if we were even ever going to get married, it was so much easier when I knew like in about a year, we're going to be able to hit that Stevie Wonder. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, it's just easier, not easy, but easier to get where you're going successfully when you know where you're going or you know how much time is left. You know, it's like, say you're going on a hike. You don't know how long it's going to take to get there. You just don't know. Like, you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. But if you know, it's like, all right, 15 more minutes. It's like, all right, I can make this last 15 minutes or whatever. And you power through. But if you don't know how long it is, you're like, oh, I'm over this. Whatever. I'm not going to make it anyways. Like, let's just do whatever I want to do. You quit.
I think aimlessness in general leads to chaos. You know, like in anything that does not have a mission or does not have a goal, kind of like you were saying with the hike, it's easy to get lost and it's easy to give up. So it's not even knowing necessarily that, you know, in this amount of time per se, but you know you're going somewhere. That's why, you know, I feel like I'm against is strong, that I advocate for a shorter talking phase and more talking versus dating in the light. You know, where like you're going on dates, you're learning about this person, or which is different than, you know, we're just talking and seeing what happens.
Right.
There's no goal. It's aimless. So
there's no accountability.
And no accountability. It's in the dark, and whatever's in the dark, that's when you're more prone to make mistakes. But when you're dating, when you're like in that raya, where you're like, oh, I'm being this person's friend. My goal is to get to really know this person better. Then you get to that next stage of like, oh, let's do this together. Let's do this together. So you're moving somewhere. And I think that sometimes once you've gone out of order, I think you need to, I think it's, I don't want to say break up, but I think sometimes some space can help provide you the clarity.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I'm not saying the goal is the need is always to break up, but especially if you're in a space where where you struggle time after time and you can't stop having like sex.
Yeah.
Then I think you should break up for a period of time to provide you some clarity
some inner work.
Some clarity, some inner work in order to know what you want to do to so you can move forward appropriately. But I think if you're not going to break up, or like if that's just not where you are, but you want to marry each other, but there's things that need to be worked out, I say do whatever you can or whatever you have in your power to stop having sex.
Like we said. Yeah, I think it's all about like, hey, let's figure out why we keep falling or failing, and then let's make some ground rules around that. If it's like, dang, the Netflix, like whatever. I know some people who are like, oh yeah, we, you know, our parents, they still live with your parents. Like we can chill in the bedroom, but we have to leave the door open. But if you realize that the bedroom door open is still not working, and you think like, oh yeah, but we're being responsible because we leave the door open, cut it. You know what I'm saying? Let's get back in be real with yourself. If you realize even with the bedroom is open, but you're under the blanket and things are still happening and that's too far for you, which everyone's different, but it's probably whatever. Get in the living room. You know what? And if the living room upstairs where there's nobody, you're still messing up, get downstairs. And if you're messing up downstairs, break up. It's not working.
I think, and that sounds really annoying to certain people. Another thing that we did that sounded annoying to other people is we went on vacation.
We brought his parents.
No, well, not that time.
Oh, well, we did bring his parents though.
No, but that was fun. But
it's a guard. Most couples aren't doing that.
But we
all stayed in the same hotel room.
We didn't even stay in the same hotel.
Oh, that one, yes. We went on this one was where we went alone, and I know some people were worried like we're going on a trip alone. Jonathan stayed in an Airbnb with other people, like a shared Airbnb, because
there's other people in there.
Yes, there were other people in there.
I do not remember that.
Yes, I only had the room to myself.
Wow, I don't remember that.
Because Jonathan had the Airbnb first. That's why you took the Airbnb, because it was shared with other people. And I took there, and he got me a hotel room. But since we were so on a budget, it was the dingiest hotel room.
That's not even important. That's not important.
Anyways, I'm like, I'm not staying here. So then we switched. But either way, so then I stayed in the Airbnb. But whatever. We didn't even stay in the same room. We still kind of folded a little bit. We didn't have sex, but we folded a little bit because he like dropped me off, and I was like, hey, let's watch a movie real quick.
I know, but
But we try. But still, yes. Go ahead.
yes, but basically what I'm trying to get at is that
Sorry, did I mess up the illustration?
no. But it's doing whatever you can to try to push forward to your goal.
Yeah.
You know? And one thing that we said, it was like our model for the time was like holiness over comfortability.
Yeah.
It was very uncomfortable.
Extremely. There was a time where we wouldn't even drive in the same car.
There was a time.
It was short.
It was a short
because
time.
I'm like, if we can't handle this, then we need to tighten. Like, this is ridiculous. Can't even drive in the same car.
Dude, I just
Jonathan was strict. Okay, he was like, I'm not failing anymore, and I'm like,
so
fine.
The thing is that people were like, oh, that's legalistic, you know, or like that's like law over everything else. But I don't think so, because it wasn't like I thought God wouldn't love me if I didn't do this.
You're just tired of messing up.
It just I was tired of not being the person who I wanted. I guess the person who I wanted to be, and the person who I needed to be for us to work in our relationship. And I think it was God that was like, "Hey, do you want to be serious about this or not?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be for real about this or not?" It's like, how bad do you want the thing you say that you want?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, you like, God, why won't this work? Why won't this happen the way that I want?
Yeah.
And it's like, how serious do you want to be?
Yeah.
It's kind of like in that portion. It's in John 5, when like the lame man, like by that wanted to go into the pool, but he said that people just kept going in before him, and he's like, just ask him, do you want to be healed?
Mm-hmm.
Which sounds like a stupid question,
right.
but there are a lot of people that are broken that are very attached to their brokenness.
For real. Yeah, there
are some people
uncomfortability.
like that are having, you know, they're having sex, they're like, you know, they're dating,
like, I'm okay
they're
here.
just like, and I want to be. They say like, will say like, I want to be better. I don't want to keep doing this. And it's like, well, okay, well, this is the way out. Like, I want to be better. I don't want to keep doing this, but keep doing the same thing. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. And there's no, I'm not shaming anybody, but it comes down to that point. It was like, how much do I want to not be like this anymore?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it's praying for, and I think a lot of it is prayer to God to help give you the strength to walk in what He's called you to walk into. Mm-hmm. Because that strength doesn't come from yourself.
No. We don't have it
at all. Especially us, like we did not have it at all. It was all but by the grace of God that we made it through any of it.
Yeah, 100%.
There were many times where we should have broken up, or we should have not been together.
Well, we did a couple of times.
No, well, that we shouldn't be together now. But it's the grace of God that's knitting us together. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason our marriage is working so well right now is because now we have all three of the flames. Like, we have that deep basis of friendship. Mm-hmm. Like, there's really nobody I'd rather spend time. There's nobody I'd rather spend time with, and that part of it's just natural. Like, I don't even have to think about that.
Sweet,
right? And then we have the raya, which is like, I see you're crazy sometimes, and I see that like things that you do that annoy me sometimes. But it's like I still choose you. Like I still want you. And then we have the sexual aspect of it now, especially in the right context. And I think the sex and like the intimacy we have now is way better than any time.
It is.
Yeah, way better than any time before now. And I feel like we're just growing deeper in that, and like knowing each other and knowing our bodies and knowing how to please one another, but with all of the other stuff that comes along with it. So we're getting smooth over, but we're smoothing over a marble, not smoothing over
oh, I like that.
A rock.
Yeah.
It's an outside rock.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah. So I think that the three flames in the correct context is just the most beautiful thing. The most beautiful picture of marriage, the most beautiful picture of how God loves us, you know, very completely and holy and holy. Get it? Oh like God. The whole and holy and whatever. All right.
It's so good.
All right, I'm out.
That's so good. Amen. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I know a lot of people wanted us to talk about dating. I
feel like we did talk about dating.
But yeah, I feel like we did. I feel like they want us to go like real deep into it. But sometimes I'm like, what else is... The biggest thing with dating is to find someone who loves Jesus, if you know that's what you're into, and set boundaries, and then you should be okay.
Yeah. If you guys have any more specific questions or things like from your personal experience that I guess if we didn't answer any questions specifically,
we'll have a specific situation.
Hey, just let us know.
Let us know.
We'll keep you anonymous for sure.
Yeah. Because someone else could be going through what you're going through as well. Because, yeah, it's fine. But I don't know why I feel like I need to clarify this because I don't know. I just feel it in my gut. But we do talk about like our dating and like, oh, it was horrible and like, oh, we need to break. But it actually really wasn't that bad. Our date when we were dating, there were times where I was like, dang, was it that bad?
No.
Oh, you made a face like, it was bad.
No, but I'm saying like
we had a lot of fun. We had some great times.
Yeah.
We were dating like during COVID. The first time I said that we started dating during COVID, a lot of people freaked out. They were like, you started dating during COVID, but
wait, why did they freak out?
because they felt like, oh, you're supposed to be quarantining and you met someone during COVID and started dating them. I don't know, people are so silly.
Shut up.
I know. I got
so annoying.
I got like roasted for saying we started dating during quarantine.
Oh my gosh, people are so
But
annoying.
technically we didn't. We started dating 3 months before quarantine. Anyway, but yeah, we had so much time together because even like he couldn't go to school. He had school online and still had my own apartment. This one we were on point at this point, but he would just be in my second bedroom all day on the computer and I'd just be in my house doing whatever. But like then I'd cook him dinner. I remember one time I made you fish and it was frozen in the middle and like we had some good times.
No, we did have good times.
But they were just some things. It was kind of like giving 60-40 and the 40 just felt too strong.
It wasn't right.
Yeah, it just wasn't right. It's like we would have fun, but at the end of the day, I'm like, it's not right.
She didn't feel right. I didn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
So it just left with like a lot of anxiety about it.
Yeah.
Because it just wasn't right.
Yeah.
But now that it's right, it's just so much better. So the only thing like our dating was good. I'm like, because right now it's so much better.
It's way better, yeah. But like sometimes when we talk about it, we make it sound like we were just miserable the whole time. And I'm like, well, we weren't.
No, we weren't miserable. But it just wasn't right.
It just wasn't right, though.
And like, you know that feeling when something's just not like.
Yeah. Like even when you're like laying with each other, like watching a movie and like the movie's so good and you're just having fun, I'm like.
It's just like way in the back.
Right, though.
It's just like way in the back. It's just like.
Something ain't right. You can't hear it. Like, hey, something's not right. Like, I know, shut up.
No, that's what it was. But, thanks be to God.
Yeah, praise be to God, man. Well,
that's that.
That's that on that.
Yeah.
Just want to remind you guys again, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you can't watch us, you can listen to us while you're driving to work, driving to your vacation or whatever. If you're doing a long drive, you can catch all of our podcasts on there. And a reminder, some of the stuff you guys asked us to talk about, we can do it again, but hit up the Only One Jess channel because we did like a pilot season on there where we talked about gender roles. We talked about growing up as pastors' kids. We talked about a lot of stuff over there.
We'll just do it again.
I know Jonathan wants to do it again anyways, but in case you can't wait, some of the stuff is over there. We'll do it again and, change it up a little bit. But just letting you know, there are some previous stuff over there. If you're missing, like, he went to Atlanta. What are you talking about? A lot of stuff's over there. And then we talked about a lot of stuff. I
literally just talked about that.
We just talked about that in our last podcast.
The last podcast or
the one before that, yeah. So anyways, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share it to a friend, all that good stuff. And we'll see you guys in our next podcast. You're emoting.
Watch this.
Bye.